Alright, I just finished gluing up the backboard here. I used some packing tape on this cutting board to keep the glue from sticking. Let's unwrap it and see how it looks. Can't grab it out of there with one hand. Let's see. Well, that's not quite dry, but it should be okay. Ah. Looks like it's got a little stuck. Alright, one sec. Here it is. This will be the outside. So I got my design here for the abalone inlay on the back of my ukulele. The eye here is going to be made of copper, I think. And I'm just going to cut it out and then put it on my shell and start cutting with my little bench saw. Here it is. I used some CA glue to attach all this stuff in there real nice, and I tried to get them as flat as possible. This shell is pretty thick, so I should be able to level those out. Yeah, I'm just going to use my jeweler's saw to cut all these little bits out and start sanding them flat. This is my jeweler's bench right now. You don't need much. I accidentally broke off this little piece prematurely, so I gotta go modify my bench pin now. Good to go. Alright, so here's my little scrap pile, and here's the pieces I am going to use for the octopus. And I've got them all cut out. That only took probably 6 or 8 hours of sawing to get those ready. And I'm just going to go ahead and separate all these pieces from each other, and then go ahead and start polishing them with a whetstone, getting them flat. I got this whetstone here, and I'm just going to go ahead and start flattening down all these pieces. I'll probably start with the back side and then move on to the front side. And I'll take the papers off of all of them if I can. Got all the papers off of these. Looking pretty cool. Getting going on these. I've got about this many done. I've been out here for a little less than an hour. This is about how I've been going about it. Just flattening up the back and the front to get it ready for the inlay. And then I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it down to the level of the wood after I have them glued up, but I think I'm going to wet the whole piece and stone it down. We'll see when we get there. This partially flattened piece illustrates an interesting point about the way that iridescent materials like this reflect light. So what gives them their color is not actual pigments in the shell. It's all just calcium carbonate and other silicates and some organic bonding materials stacked in layers. But the tiny structures on the surface reflect and trap different wavelengths of light depending on their shape. So depending on the angle you look at them, they appear to change color. And one of the cool properties that this gives the material is since the shell itself is curved and it's deposited in curved layers, when you flatten it down, you get these cross sections where you can see strikingly different colors depending on the angle that you look at it from. For anywhere from yellows and oranges there to greens, purples, and vibrant blues. So when you look at a piece that's not filed, you can see this patch of iridescent purple and this rainbowy green patch over here. So I've finished stoning this one for now, and optically it just really is a fascinating material and quite beautiful. It's probably my favorite new thing to work with. Now, this piece has some really interesting curves. It was taken out of a less level portion of the shell. So I think what we're going to see is contour lines that almost match the contours of this tentacle here. Let's take a look at how this turns out. As the pattern emerges on this new piece, I'm starting to notice a distinct advantage of cutting your abalone out of natural shells over pre-made blanks. Although blanks might be a little bit easier to work with. If you keep in mind the orientation of the shell and the curvature of your piece, especially if you're working on organic stuff, you can get contour lines that follow the curvature of your piece, which can add to it a lot. Now I didn't keep that in mind with these, so they'll be somewhat random, but it came out accidentally on this tentacle, and I think you could do some really cool work with that. Now, as I've tried to take the curvature out of this so it'll work for an inlay, some natural imperfections have, let's focus, natural imperfections have shown themselves. There's a some sort of dark spot in the middle here and a little pocket in the yellowish silver nacre that's started to show itself around the edges here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop. This piece is looking pretty cool. The back of this stone, or this shell, is actually quite interesting also. This one appears to have outer layers that are silvery white, as opposed to the purples and blues on the inside. So this base lime is then gray, and there's some sort of green in between them that I'm not sure what it's made of. It looks like a different material than the outer shell and the shiny inner part. But I think you could make something really cool out of this too, with these little bits of the iridescence poking through. This water's getting a little bit dirty. Turns out vigorously rubbing abrasive stones and sharp objects underwater for several hours on end can cut up your hands pretty bad. Okay, don't quote me on this, but I think it looks pretty good.